And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of New Earth TV Live. It's good to see you all here again on this Friday. So we're going to have a lot of great stuff in store today for this webcast. We're going to start off with some Q&A here very shortly. And after Q&A, we're going to do some cord removal healing as our inner practices today. And then we're going to also be doing some distance healing as well too. So I'll be taking some requests from the viewers on YouTube. If you do have a healing request, again, that'll be coming at the later part of the broadcast today. So we'll be getting into that also. But first and foremost, we're going to go ahead and start off with some announcements.
The world's first spiritual rejuvenation technology in the form of modern everyday items has arrived through AetherX. AetherX offers transcendental healing products that work to detoxify, replenish, and restore you on a physical, emotional, and mental level. The Aether Bed Kit takes the form of a powerful rejuvenation technology that utilizes your own life force energy to restore organs, glands, bodily systems, the energy system, and replenish emotional and mental well-being. The AetherX card decks, the healing code cards, eliminate and detoxify physical, emotional, and mental conflicts within the body. 44 beautifully designed geometrical cards specifically designed to work on the major areas of the body, encouraging natural recovery and increased vitality. The healing code cards come in 3 different themes: the body, mind, and energy decks, each with their own specific design to renew and rejuvenate the body. AetherX apparel and accessories that offer comfortable attire and beautiful geometrical and image designs to detoxify, strengthen, and rejuvenate the body. Download our collection of free sample images and cards from our website so that you can witness the benefits of AetherX spiritual technology for yourself. Visit our website now at atherx.co and begin your rejuvenation journey with us.
And of course, we have brand new products that are available on atherx.co that just came up this morning. We have some yoga gear. So we have yoga pants, we have yoga tops that are now available. We also have the Taurus bed throw blankets. So those are also available right now on atherx.co. You can go to the website. And don't forget, you can use the promo code May20OFF. Make sure it's all capital letters, right? And you can get 20% off everything on atherx.co. And it lasts until May 8th. So we have this weekend. So at the end of day of Monday, the coupon will expire. More good news is that the healing code cards will be available next week. So I'm finally getting the new batch of the healing code cards, and that should be ready to go by next Friday. So by next Friday, I will have some in stock. I'm also currently hiring a warehouse to store a majority of them. So I will have some of them personally on hand, but the rest of them will be going into a warehouse and they will be available there, which will be great because you'll get them a lot quicker. Okay, so I will basically have some in store that I'll be personally fulfilling when I launch them next Friday. And then once we get the warehouse going, which should be, I think, per the week or two after that, then we'll have some full-time warehouse staff that will take care of the orders, and you'll get them quite quickly. I'm still looking at certain warehouse locations, but I'm currently partnered up with a certain company that has network connections with certain warehouses, so the healing code cards will be going to that warehouse, and orders will be a lot quicker. So that'll be awesome. So you can check that out. Again, I'll have more information on that. There will be a special coupon code for the healing code cards, or the AetherX card decks, when they debut next week. So again, that's the body deck, the mind deck, the energy deck. Here is another important announcement as well too. I will be creating a brand new deck. It'll be a brand new card deck, and it'll be quite large as well too. I'm thinking it'll probably be about 80 or so cards within it. And basically this brand new deck that I'm going to be creating will be at the same level of a Taurus bed made out of cards. So basically, if we have the card right here, the cards that I'm going to be making will basically be using the Taurus bed technology in them. And the new deck is going to be called the AetherX Source deck. That's called the AetherX Source card deck. It's going to take some time for me to make it. I'm hoping I can get something ready by late summer or early fall. So it will take a long time. It's a very big deck. It's the biggest deck of them all. And it basically complements the body, the mind, and the energy all together. So it's kind of like an all-in-one deck. And again, it's working with the Taurus bed technology within the cards. And there'll be quite a lot of cards. I'm estimating between 80, maybe to 88 cards. So it'll be a very big friggin' deck. So that is certainly going to be in the works here very, very soon. I'm going to be creating that. I'm also creating some new things as well too. I'm creating some new environmental technology. I'm going to be, I actually just ordered a 3D printer, and I'm going to be developing what's known as the AetherX 3D arrays, which means that there'll be basically platonic solids. You'll have cubes and you'll have dodecahedrons, and you'll be able to order them and then bring them into your house, place them anywhere you want. They don't need to be activated. They will just be on all the time, and they will completely purify your entire space. They will cancel out EMFs, they will cancel out ELFs, they will cancel out toxins, and they're also going to be working on your body, and they too will have the Taurus bed technology within them at the same time. So that is going to be another extremely exciting feature. I'm also going to be creating some more environmental technology when it comes to magnets and when it comes to posters as well too. So I'm going to be kind of just wrapping up everything pertaining to body technology for AetherX for a little bit of time, and I'm going to be moving now into environmental technology, and that's going to really take AetherX up a few notches. So that'll be super fun. So with doing the brand new card deck, and of course doing the environmental technology, I'll be keeping myself a little bit busy, but again, they're going to yield some really great results. So again, I'll be getting a 3D printer here, I think by next week, setting it all up and getting things ready, printing these brand new kind of platonic solids that will basically have the AetherX symbol on them, and then they'll be able to work with healing your environment and healing yourself at the same time, as they'll have a very strong expansive reach. Again, working with Taurus bed technology. So the new card deck, Taurus bed technology, the new environmental technology will have the Taurus bed codes as well too, and more as well too. There'll be environmental codes, which will be a new step up. It's going to be awesome. So that is AetherX.co. So again, guys, I also go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/AetherX store. There's going to be some new updates of videos that I'll be putting on there very soon as well too. Some new tutorials also. And let me just go down the list, and we'll get to Odyssey here. So everything here that's on the YouTube channel is backed up onto our Odyssey account. The link is in the video description, odyssey.com/@NewEarthTeachings, and that is our backup channel. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with today's broadcast. Hello everybody, good to see you all here. It's going to be another great broadcast today, as I know you guys are really good with asking some awesome questions. So we will get into the questions now. Again, if you do want to make your question priority number 1, then you can just use the YouTube Super Chat donation, and you can put your question in through donation, and that will bring you first in line. Just remember that when you're donating, make sure to put your question in. All right. Okay, so let's go through the list here to start. This one here is from Liliana. Liliana says, "Hi Brad, there is an eclipse today. Does it mean good things are coming to Earth?" So basically, yes, there's a lunar eclipse happening today, and it's basically in Scorpio, Scorpio lunar eclipse. So what does Scorpio represent? Well, if we're looking at the nature of Scorpio, it can represent scandals, can represent secrecies, can also represent death, right? So there's, doesn't mean that horrible things are going to happen, but there's definitely going to be some big shifts. There's definitely going to be some big changes. And to have us look into this a little bit more, we're going to look through the cards and take a look at this lunar eclipse that's happening today and what that is going to bring about for us. So let's take a look at that. So I asked the cards regarding this lunar eclipse, what situations are going to unfold regarding this lunar eclipse that is happening today and where it is leading us in the long run. All right, well, it's kind of appropriate so far from what I'm seeing here. It is indeed a card of, or basically an eclipse of death, but that's not a bad thing, okay? So basically, I'm really seeing here pertaining to the eclipse, what it's leading to, okay? So we could say that there's a lot more scandals, secrecies, exposures looking to happen all across the entire planet, right? especially if we have something in Scorpio, because Scorpio can represent the nature of endings. It can represent scandals. It can represent secrecies being exposed. It can represent viruses. It can represent illnesses. It can represent death, right? So it feels like there's going to be some more accountability. I'm not going back into politics, of course, but it does represent the idea that there's going to be some accountability, kind of like what I've talked about with 2023, right? 2023 certainly represents the idea that we're going to be looking at accountability, that we're going to be looking into also rejuvenation. It's also a grace year as well too. But we're going to see some things coming together. We're going to see like things converging together a lot more. A lot of things that have been shattered are now going to start coming into the limelight. There's going to be some exposures. There's going to be some uprooting of a lot of corruption, so to speak, that has been happening on the planet. Like I said, I'm not trying to go back into that, but this is just kind of giving the idea of what we're seeing here pertaining to the lunar eclipse and what it's bringing us in the long run. So in the long run, we have the Page of Pentacles. So this is representing groundedness, practicality. It's starting the phase of just beginning to move into a much better direction. Okay, not right away. This is representing kind of like the immature youth, right? They got a hold of the pentacle. They're still just trying to figure out how to use it. So it's a step in the right direction. It means we're not kind of out of the woods yet, but we're moving into a better alignment altogether. And of course, we have the Magician and the King of Cups pertaining to advice. So the Magician is, again, exposure. It's representing the idea of new beginnings coming together, right? It's representing the idea that we are wielding the power to make our lives better altogether. But in order for that to happen, we need to find out exactly what's been hidden under our noses, right? And this is also representing emotional clarity, governing emotions well, right? People are going to be very emotional during this time with the Scorpio lunar eclipse. That's what's going to bring about a lot of emotional release. A lot of emotional tension is going to be in the air, right? So we have to learn how to govern that. We have to learn to work on those particular things, as I've talked about a great deal on this channel as well too, pertaining to surrendering, pertaining to go into yourself and to release these things altogether. And what I'm also going to do relating to this question of yours, Liliana, is I'm going to bring Adronis through as well too, and he can share some insight pertaining to this Scorpio moon that is happening and where the charge of this Scorpio moon is taking us collectively. Okay, so just give me a moment here, guys, and I'll bring Adronis in, and he can share some insight on this as well too. Just getting myself comfortable first. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I got like some weird cords under my feet here. There. All right, here we go. Terra Soul Star Sirius Adronis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast through your internet collective consciousness. We will share insight as it pertains to the idea of what you term as your lunar eclipse that is taking place now, that is in the alignment of the sign that you would know as Scorpio. This is a time that, again, is rattling the cages. So when we are saying this, pertaining to the rattling of the cages, pertaining to the idea of the uprooting of the weeds that have been around your feet for quite some time, this is going to represent the idea of exposures of scandals, yes. It is going to represent, again, a greater quickening relating to, shall we say, the releasing of the old ways, of the old guard, of the old components that have been, in that sense, set up upon your earth plane for quite some time. This can represent the idea of governmental shakeup. This can represent the idea of governmental scandals. This can also represent the nature of increased protests. This again can represent the idea of increased exposures, increased, shall we say, animosity towards, in that sense, the idea of these unjust laws, these unjust rules, these unjust protocols and procedures that have been brought up country to country. And you're seeing more of them being exposed, and you're also going to see more of them being dismantled. Now, truly, when you look at things behind the scenes, many of these things are already taken care of. But again, as we have stated, this is all part and parcel of an initiation that's taking place, so that you are seeing a lot more that has been hidden underneath your feet, and therefore being exposed for all of you to see. So this can be the idea in that sense of world leaders being further exposed. It's going to represent the idea of old rules and old laws and unjust and unfair certain forms of, shall we say, enforcements trying to come together that is going to be expunged. So it is very much a time of shaking things loose. It is rattling the cages pertaining to the infrastructure of your own man-made systems. It is also representing the idea in that sense of a greater wave, a greater shift pertaining to emotional releasing, pertaining to mental releasing. But before that can happen, there is going to be outrage. There is going to be outburst. And there is going to be outcry. And this is going to happen country to country, country to country, country to country, all across the world. That will basically create a long-lasting effect throughout the next several months. Because an eclipse basically leaves its scar upon the planet for a great amount of time. It starts to therefore fade deeper into the earth, but an eclipse itself never really loses its mark. It does not lose its effect upon the planet and all life upon the planet. Its long-lasting effects will always be there. It's like having an open gash upon your body. Over time, that scar will heal, but you're still seeing the imprints of what that scar has done to your body. Well, it's the very same thing that's happening to the earth. This is a scar. It's a scar that is still going to leave certain imprints. Just as you've had your solar eclipses and lunar eclipses, full total eclipses in the past, all of those particular scars have been left upon the earth, and they're still leaving certain impact. They're still leaving an appropriate amount of imprints to still further a greater significance and constituents to the nature of change. So that's what's happening. It is a shakeup. It is the idea of rattling cages. It is the idea of exposure. It is the idea of scandals. It is the idea of secrecy. It's the idea of everything that has been built upon lies ready to die. That's what's taking place. That's what this upcoming lunar eclipse signifies in your sign of Scorpio. All right? We thank you very much. Okay. So that's what Adronis has to share in regards to the eclipse. So let's go ahead and move on. Thank you again, Liliana, for your question. All right. Okay, I'm just going to slowly go down the list here to see if there's other questions here. So this is just from Nick. Nick says, when the human race learns to read the language, when the human race learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall. Absolutely. It's very true. Right? If we learn how to learn, this is what I've always talked about in the nature of reading signposts. Right? I even had a small series here that was once called the Signposts. Right? When you know how to read the signposts of life, you're going to move into such great freedom and such great realization. But the most important thing as well too is to know that the earth is doing what she needs to do. Everything that's taking place on the earth is exactly what needs to happen. As much as many of us want to change a lot of the things that are happening on the earth, it's not our call, right? We may want to look outside and see how the world is, and we get disgusted by it. We walk down the streets and we see how people behave with each other, and boy, would we ever want to change that. We see how we act with each other. We see how we act with ourselves. We see how world leaders are acting with the people. We see how governments are working with the people. and saying, my God, I wish we could really change a lot of these things, right? Now, again, it's not about us trying to impose our own will pertaining to collective events, because firstly, you wouldn't be able to even if you tried. Secondly, you have to let the world be a world, right? You have to let it do the work it needs to do. And what you are doing is you're working with your own world, right? It's not about going out into the collective and talking to a bunch of people who are doing things that are bothering you and say, hey, stop doing that, hey, stop doing that, hey, stop doing that, hey, government, stop doing that, hey, world leaders, stop doing that, right? Hey, governmental politics, hey, stop doing that, hey, finances, stop doing that, okay? All you're doing is you're basically pointing at a cinema screen, and you're pointing at the movie, and you say, hey, movie, stop showing that stuff, blah, 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 blah. What happens? Pretty much all the people that are watching the movie are going to turn around you and say, will you shut up? Will you sit down? Watch the movie? But I can't stand this. Look what will you just shut up and watch the movie? You'll get dozens and dozens of people just throwing popcorn at you and say, shut up, sit down, watch the movie. Stop ruining it for the rest of us. Okay? And that's basically what happens is when we start to feel like we need to pick and prod at the external world, is we're getting that popcorn thrown back at us. Will you just sit down, shut up, and watch the movie? The most important thing is for you to realize that you are the only changeable one in life, that only you can change yourself. It's the same thing that when we're working with the body, when we're working with our emotions, when we're working with the mind, the key here is not to retaliate with it, right? A lot of us just want this kind of quick fix pill. We want a pill that we can swallow, and when our body is hurt, when our body is wounded, when we're emotionally hurt, when we're mentally hurt, we want to take a pill, we want to swallow it down, and we want the body to bounce back together. So that even if that did happen, you'd go a little bit further, and then all of these symptoms would come back down upon you again, because you're looking outside for a fix, just like we look outside of the world for a fix. And that is only going to lead to more and further implosion. Rather, you want to listen to your body. You want to listen to your world, because your body and your world knows how to bring balance to themselves. But as you are being the operator of your body and of your environment, you're the one that's getting in your own way pertaining to falling and tripping over these hurdles rather than being able to jump over them with ease, right? We have an ability to leap great distances and jumping all of these hurdles that are in the way. But rather, we become victimized and we identify with these hurdles and we intentionally collide into them. Which means that when we're working with our body, we will indulge in a lot more pleasures and unpleasant habits that will only cause further impairment to the body. So would I rather spend a little bit of time indulging in pleasures that may only last seconds or minutes, and then afterwards feeling and bearing the repercussions of the body because it has now been completely bombarded by all of this waste that we have put into the body, for indulging in snacks, for indulging in alcohol, for indulging in smoking, for indulging in all these things that the body does not want. The body is trying not to complain, right? But it really wishes that you could hear it. But again, what it is doing is that we're seeing the infrastructure of the body being broken down, and it's trying to tell us through our own emotions, through our own heart, hey, can you please change your direction? Because I'm not going to be able to keep this up. The body is going to break down, right? You're going to have chronic injuries. You're going to have chronic conditions. Your knees are going to give out. You're going to have problems with your organs. You're going to have problems with your glands. Your immune system is going to fail because you keep indulging, because you're looking outside of yourself for temporary pleasures, and it's only going to continue to cause havoc with your body as well too. It's going to cause more and more disruption. Rather, when we give up on the idea of those pleasures, when we give up on the idea of feeling that we need to change everything, then what happens is we come into the natural alignment of the body, of the heart, of the mind, and of the spirit. And when you align together with your body and you start listening to your body, the body now knows how to heal itself, which means every particular ailment you've had will subside. And even if it doesn't subside, you are completely at peace with the body so much that you're not bothered by the ailment in question anymore. And just as I've said that when you're learning to read the signposts, your body has signposts as well too. It's letting you know that if there's a shooting pain in your shoulder because you've been working out, you've been lifting too much weight and you're hurting yourself, the body's trying to tell you, stop doing that because I can't handle the stress. It's going to cause the body to get broken down. You're going to have problems. You could have chronic injuries. But we don't listen and we continue to do it until we get injured. Okay? The majority of people on the planet don't know how to talk to their body. There's a small handful that do. And they're trying to get out there and they're trying to teach everybody how to talk to your body, how to surrender, how to go within, and learn to read the signposts, learn to read the symbolisms of life, very much like what Nick here is saying. And if we don't do that, if we don't take the time to learn, if we don't take the time to being able to learn how to communicate with our body, to check in with ourselves, the body is going to break down. Same thing goes with our emotions. If we don't know how to work together with our emotions and come into alignment, we're going to break ourselves down with emotional overload and emotional conflict. Same thing goes with our mentality and our behavior. If we do not align with that, that is going to break down. And that is going to lead to psychotic episodes. And that is going to lead into further impairment. Because we go and we go and we go and we go off into the red, and the gears within ourselves are starting to buckle. They're starting to crack. They're starting to break down. Because we do not take the time of the day to say, body, how are you doing? Emotions, how are you doing? Mentality, how are you doing? We don't check in. We run ourselves into the ground until we can barely stand anymore. And so this is a very important sign that, Brad, what is the key to communicating with the body, to communicating with the mind? Being right here. Being in the center. What does it feel like, everyone, to be in peace? What does it feel like to have a peaceful moment? Can you describe that? Can you define it? What does it feel like to have a moment of peace? If I can describe that, great. Have I felt it? Have I felt that moment of peace? Well, that's the antidote to everything. That moment of peace can stretch itself out as far and as wide as you want it to go. It's not to say that you need to retreat to a cave in the Himalayas and you need to spend the next 20 to 30 years inside the cave meditating while eating little bits of rice out of a rice bowl. What is being said here is that that peace is what's helping you to govern yourself. Perform your activities, but don't go off into the red. When you see these things in the world that are unsettling to you, give it your love and your compassion. Give it your peace. Let your peace extend like a bridge to those areas. Rather than feeling, oh, those people that did that, boy, they should pay, they should pay, they should pay. And you are condemning. And as soon as you're condemning, then you're basically no better off than those that are hurting. If we only want to condemn a person who should be suffering at the same time, who should die because they killed somebody, then we're basically no better off. We come to their level, right? This person who wants to hurt, who wants to manipulate, who wants to maim, who wants to cripple, who wants to kill. And if we basically, oh, look at that person, look what they did. Oh, I hope God strikes you down. I hope you rot in hell. I hope you do these horrible things. What happens? We stay in their world. And you suffer with them. Rather, we look up here and saying, whatever happens to them, it is not for me to govern. All I'm going to do is I'm going to give compassion. I'm going to give love. I'm going to give support to that entire situation. I'm not just going to point to the culprit. I'm going to look at that entire event and I'm going to extend the bridge of peace, of love, and compassion to that entire space, which means I'm commanding the subtle forces of life when I do that. Okay? This is the misconception that people have. Say, oh, Brad, if we're just meditating and we're just giving a bunch of peace to everything, we might as well just be sitting around and doing nothing. And with all due respect, you don't know the power of what you're doing. You don't know the power of what is actually realized here. What you are doing is when you are giving love, peace, and compassion to the entire world, you are creating a beautiful bridge that is commanding such powerful forces that exist in the subtle planes that will bring such equilibrium to that space, to that event, that the human intellect could never even possibly conceive of. This is not the idea of thinking, oh, just being like one of those desolate monks on top of a mountain where they just do nothing. They're not doing nothing. They're in fact doing a lot more than what the common person is through their physical actions. Which means they are moving at a speed that is so imperceivable that they are working in harmony with the subtle divine forces to the degree that through their actions alone, this is actually what's creating such a beautiful bubble upon the planet that is encouraging peace, that is encouraging support, that is encouraging compassion. Why do you think people come out in the hundreds of thousands or millions when someone dear to their heart dies? That is basically, you could say, a national figure. That could basically be, in that sense, someone who has worldwide renowned fame in that way. Look at all the celebrities that have passed on that basically touched the hearts of many. Look at Michael Jackson. Look at Elvis Presley. Look at all these people who basically have left the earth plane. And what has happened? You have people by the millions, hundreds of millions, probably even the billions, coming to them and showing so much love and support for them. That's us working in the invisible planes. That's us working in the subtle planes. And that love and that compassion and that joy that each and every single one of us provide to such an event like that shapes the world in ways that you can't imagine. This is why I say that when you're looking at a situation, an event, regardless whoever is the culprit that was responsible for it, what is going to let that event move into a state of peace is your extension of the bridge of the peace that goes with it. It's with your subtle command of the divine forces that come through that, and everything starts to equalize. Everything starts to move itself back into balance. We do not forget those events. Rather, in that sense, we're quite remembering about what has happened through those stages. But we're actually growing into such a state of wisdom because of those events. It's made us wiser. It's made us stronger. It's made us even more radiant and brilliant as we shine. So whenever you hear somebody say, oh, you're just going to sit on your butt and meditate all day? You're just going to sit on your butt and just wish for peace? It's not that we're wishing for peace. We are applying peace. We are extending that bridge of peace, of love, and compassion. How are we doing that? We're getting into center. We're getting into alignment. The masters have known this. Right? This is not a secret really anymore. It doesn't have to be. We have this knowledge available to us. We have this capability available to us. And with many of us coming together, and we're just extending those olive branches, we're extending that bridge of peace, love, and compassion, the entire world changes. Right? Because all we're doing is we're sharing our own inner peace together with the environment. That's all we're doing. It has to come through me. I cannot find peace outside of me. I have to know what that peace is like. That's why I ask you guys, what does that moment of peace feel like? How can you describe it? Because that is what you're using as your tool. That's your tool. When you know what peace feels like, you expand it. You extend it. You integrate it into the world. It all comes through you. Why through you? Because you're the only one who can change you. And that is the great realization. Not only are you going to learn how to read the signs, you're also going to learn how to completely extend that pure essence of peace within you through your center. And that is what's going to make the world brilliant and shine. Is through your ability to have peace, to know what peace is, to feel that love and that compassion and that joy, and extending that outwards through you, as you're the changeable one. All right? Something to keep in mind for sure. Thank you again, Nick, for your comment. Okay, so this one here is from Celia. Celia says, what can Adronis say about the gods of the Bible? That Elohim refers to multiple gods, and not the God or Almighty as taught by religions. Thank you. Okay, so good one, Celia. So we will take a look at that. Adronis will come through, and he'll talk about the gods in the Bible. One moment. clear here. And we thank you very much, Celia, for your question pertaining to what you term as the Elohim explained in your Bible. Now, we have talked about this in your past relating to the nature of the Elohim, that the Elohim does not represent that which you would term as the infinite one, or the infinite one God. In fact, it relates much more to creator gods, as we have termed. You could also see them as angels. You could see them in that sense as creative overseers. You could even see them as gardeners, if you wish, on a collective level. It doesn't really matter what you call them. But again, understand that everything that represents the phrases pertaining to these ancient gods all hold a meaning to your heart that represents a remembrance to know that you are these very gods that are spoken of. Adronis, are you trying to say that each and every single one of us has a connection to these gods? Not just a connection. You are these gods. You have to understand that because you see manyness upon the planet, that because you see billions of you and say, well, Adronis, there should only be a few of us that could actually be these gods. No, that's not what we're saying at all. We're saying that each and every single one of you are these gods that you speak of. Every single one of you. Not a single human is omitted from that list. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're discussing. These are what you would term to be the creator gods, the high angels, the creators, the keepers of the garden, the gardeners themselves. They are the overseers to life. And that the nature of humanity itself was all part of an expression of their creation, which again revolves around you, represents you. You're a part of it. You are not excluded from this. It's not to say, here's the creator, here's the creator gods, and we're just the effect that came through. No. You are the very ones that are coming in and playing your own game. That's what's happening here. You all have not just associations, connections to the idea of these ancient creator gods, but you are them. They are you, you are them. We mean that in the most literal way possible. That when they come upon this planet to bring about this game, to bring about this game of evolution, to plant seeds upon the planet, the creators are not just sitting in some type of lounge chair, sipping iced tea, watching all of you propagate. It doesn't work like that. They are taking their very essence and they are putting it upon the planet. And they are working through the millions and the billions that are here. Which means they are taking everything that represents them and they have placed it upon the earth. They have taken everything that represents their qualities, their attributes, even their challenges, and they have seated that upon the earth, to which the children that are born are of them. You are not separate. It's a togetherness here. It is the same thing as the Hindu that refer to their gods. It's very much the same as the Greeks refer to their gods. Very much in that sense as the Aztecs and the Mayans refer to their gods. It's very much to how the Judaism refers to the one God. It all really comes down to a creator God or creator gods. It's not about manyness. It's not about multiples of quantity, as it is much more about the nature of quality. And it is the quality of yourselves that have therefore brought yourselves into this game, seeded this planet with this experimental, shall we say, happening, with this experimental opportunity of evolution for the soul to grow and to get to know itself through the nature of the mind as it is the infinite. It is going into the finite, and through the infinite it is understanding much more of the nature of the finite. And guess who is that understanding? You are. You have come into the finite world to bring the infinite into it. And that's very much the game that you're playing. So it does not matter of the many gods that you speak of throughout many of the cultures, the civilizations and nations that have come and gone and are still here. The names themselves, again, can hold a certain level of significator pertaining to remembrance, pertaining to, in that sense, qualities of yourself. When you say Elohim, or when you say Anunnaki, or when you say the Hindu gods' names, when you look at Shiva, when you look at Brahman, when you look at Vishnu, when you look at Ganesh, when you look at all these different types of gods, all these different aspects of yourselves, it all represents the nature of your own qualities that is godly. It's godliness that you're looking at. Elohim, Anunnaki, Hindu gods, etc. It's all coming back to you. You're not excluded from the power. You're not excluded from the quality. You're not excluded from the attributes. We mean this in the most literal way, that you are those very gods that you speak of. You're not separate. You're not individualized from them. That is the illusion. That's Maya, playing the webs of Maya tricks on you, thinking that you are. You have all come here at the time that you have decided to come here to contribute as the seed that you are. And this incarnation represents a seed. How well it sprouts is up to you. But there are many other seeds planted here on this planet that have yet to sprout, that you will facilitate. And there are many other seeds spread across and many other planets throughout many different galaxies and many different dimensions and so forth, that you will sprout. And you really are already sprouting them right now. But because your realization is still transfixed upon the physical plane, you have not learned to perceive the subtle planes to where you are seeing yourself simultaneously coexisting on these different worlds, realms, planes, dimensions, to where these seeds are taking up root. You don't see that because you're too transfixed here. You have not enabled yourself, you have not allowed yourself to develop your capability to see in the planes that exist beyond this world. You have only confined yourself into a certain degree of limitation to feel that this life is all there is, because you are underdeveloped. When you have developed yourself appropriately, and it's very much like what Brad has shared pertaining to the nature of peace and coming into your center, you will blossom. And as you blossom, not only will you see simultaneously all of these other seeds that you have personally planted throughout other planets, throughout other dimensions, throughout other realms, through other planes, you will come all the way back up to the Godhead. And you will see that you indeed, yes, you have been the instigator to creating these worlds. That's why we say every single one of you is involved with your connection, with your realization, with your presence, with your beingness of being the Elohim, of being the Anunnaki, of being the Hindu gods, of being all these other forms of deities that the world has constantly spoke of from culture to culture, nation to nation, civilization to civilization, past, present, and future, all at once. You are all of that. You never have not been that. It's because of your underdevelopment of yourselves that you do not realize this. But when you start to develop yourself, you start to activate yourself within. Through peace, through tranquility, through humility, through compassion, through love, through joy. You will therefore see exactly what we speak. Because some of you have already seen it. Many of you have not. But it's not to say at some particular point you will indeed see it. You will indeed feel it. You will indeed know it. And you are indeed being it. Because you're being it right now. But you don't see it. It is very much like the idea in that sense of a smaller portion of you just stuck, like a fly in amber, not realizing that they are the entire amber, not realizing that they are the entire environment, not realizing that they are every other facet of life that surrounds them, not realizing that they're the entire planet, not realizing that they're the entire set of stars in this galaxy, not realizing that they're the entire universe, not realizing that they're the entire multiverse, not realizing that everything that represents life is them. You are the fly caught in the amber. And at any particular time when you surrender, that amber cracks. And now you do not just be the fly, you are everything. And we're teaching you how to let go of you feeling confined in the amber like the fly. Let it all go, and the amber will crack, and you will see much more of a glorious world all around you that you never thought existed. But it's your creation. It always has been. You have never been in lack relating to the nature of creation. It's all you. It always has been you. It always will be you. Everything that is you. The isness is you. You simply are. Please remember this. We thank you. Okay, great. Thank you, Celia, for a great question there. Hopefully that answers some questions from what Adronis shared with you. All right, great question too. All right. So let's go down this. We're on time. Okay, we'll probably do about 10 more minutes of Q&A. Then we're going to get into the next segments. I have some people asking me questions about AetherX. Guys, probably best to ask me that off the broadcast. Okay, I like to focus on things that aren't so much about AetherX relating to products and so forth. Okay, so if you're on the Telegram chat, you can ask me there. Okay, or you can always drop me an email if you have questions about AetherX products. Okay, I just don't want to use this time for AetherX product talk. Okay, let's go down the list here a bit more. Okay. Yeah, so again, guys, I'm not going to be indulging in political topics, so please don't ask. Okay, here's one from Sensei. Sensei says, question, can you explain our Merkabah and its purpose and how we know it's activated? Okay, we have to understand that the Merkabah is basically a truncation. It's a truncated geometry that represents a greater geometry. And that greater geometry would represent that of what you would know as the torus. Okay? So when you look at the torus, when you look at the hyperboloid, when you look at the hourglass shape that's contained in the center of the torus, this in certain capacities can represent the dimensional construct that we would know as the Merkabah. In the center of the Merkabah represents the singularity. Through this nature of spin, when it goes into certain levels of harmonious spin, it forms, as we would commonly refer to in the ancient times, as a chariot. It's a chariot that spins, that is able to bring yourself into appropriate alignment to returning you back into the Godhead, which brings you back into singularity, which brings you back into beingness. It's a chariot to God. So the Merkabah has always referred to itself as being the chariot, right? A light spirit vessel, a vessel of spirit light. That when one knows how to properly construct the Merkabah, because they are aligning themselves together with their own harmonious geometry, which is, in effect, the nature of the torus field. Working together with that nature of spin to work together in the state of acceleration, like a magnet, that therefore goes off into the dielectric, which therefore holds no nature of identifiable form, moves themselves back into the nature of singularity, to where through the nature of singularity returns back home. Returns back to the source, comes back to God. It's a chariot to God. So it's a little too complex to try and describe appropriate ratios representing the nature of spin. But basically, again, once the masculine, feminine counterparts pertaining to the Merkabah vessel is aligned appropriately, the rate of spin will often be used through trial and error. You will start to learn to work together with the nature of spin, and you'll want to see it crystal clear. You'll want to see it as clearly as you possibly can. Not only will you want to see it, you will want to feel it. as you feel it appropriately, when everything is conjunct, when it is moving together with conjugation, with the masculine and the feminine coming together, and the spin is moving into appropriate cycles, and the spin ratio becomes appropriate to the degree where the masculine and feminine are in harmony, you generate the singularity central point that you would find within the center of the hyperboloid or the toroidal field itself. Through that singularity, it encompasses your entire being, and that is the chariot back to God. That is the chariot back to the source. That is the chariot back to the self, which means you are completely embraced within the center point. And now you are aware. Now you are omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient by being in the center, and the chariot of the Merkabah is taking you there. It's just yourself. It's just a conjugation, truncation of appropriate geometry that is in representation to the hyperboloid, that is in essence part of the entire toroidal field that I speak of, that is helping you to move back into the central nexus, the source, the singularity of yourself, so that you are therefore in the Godhead. You are therefore God itself, right? Everything is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-seeing, all-being. That's what the Merkabah brings you for. But again, you have to let your heart guide you. You see, these words just won't do it justice. You have to basically construct your Merkabah. You have to construct your light body. And that comes through humility. That does not come through the nature of selfish action. That does not come through the nature of karmic attributes, where you feel that you're just performing all these actions and you don't know how to sit still. You don't know how to move yourself into humility. You don't know how to move yourself into peace. You will not be able to do it. It comes from the most humble, who are able to work in constructing their light body, constructing their Merkabah vessel, which is an extension of the light body, the spirit light body, to what it represents, so that it therefore spins to the degree to where your magnetism is aligning back into the central singularity. It's going through the magnetism, the dielectric, right back into the source point that caused the distortion, that caused the disturbance, the perturbation of the ether itself to form. And you're inverting all of that back into God. Did you guys know that if you had enough high electric current running through your body, that the very magnetism that actually keeps you anchored in this universe would cease to be? If you generate enough electrical current that would be able to be fed through this body, that the vital magnetism that is actually implanting you here into this universe would be absorbed back into that dielectricity, so that your form itself would cease to be here. Well, this is giving you a particular type of an idea of the analogy that I speak of. Because the only reason you're in this universe is because you're magnetically drawn to it. You are magnetically inputted into this universe. The magnetism that makes your body, that makes this form possible, is through that very magnetism that is making this particular vehicle that you see right here present in this reality, in this universe, you could say. But when you run enough current through this vessel, to which the vessel could withstand, the magnetism absorbs itself back in. Why does the magnetism absorb itself back in? Because the magnetism is a low pressure gradient pertaining to dielectricity. Okay? You got to look into Ken Wheeler. You got to look into his stuff relating to magnetism. And this is very much how it works. It's exactly as how much of the ancients have explained ascension, but they didn't do it in technical scientific terms. They basically say that their whole body gets filled with light. What that means is that there's so much, I wouldn't say electromagnetism, but the nature of electromagnetheric, or living magnetism, or living electricity. And that there's so much voltage coming through them that their magnetism basically moves from a low pressure gradient to a higher pressure gradient, to where their body doesn't even exist in this plane, but they are everywhere. Which means that is a nature of a true ascension. I've also talked about the Christ oil moving upwards. And what that does is that is an activation elixir. And that is activating areas of your brain that come online that move you into such extensive qualities, where you therefore apply the natural qualities and attributes of the Godhead. That's helping you to understand these particular concepts. But when a master is being able to bring so much of that vital voltage, so to speak, that powerful dielectricity that is beyond the electromagnetic spectrum, but truly in the, I would say, life spectrum, that is actually what causes the magnetism to absorb back into the central point, where your body, gone. It's only here because of low pressure gradient magnetism. Okay, it's the only reason you're here. It's the only reason why every form that you see around here right now is here, because it's all magnetic. Okay, magnetism is the nature of how life itself functions. It is the low pressure gradient, but it is all part of the higher gradient, which represents, I would refer to as life electricity, or lifetricity, maybe I'll call it that. We still haven't even really created books about this yet, about the nature of lifetricity, or lifetrons, in that way, is another way of putting it. Okay, there's very few forms of that. Maybe I have to write a book about this, I guess, down the road. But that's where the whole idea is. You're gathering so much of this analogical nature of electricity that the magnetism within you moves up into a higher pressure gradient, and now your body is not here anymore. It has completely vanished. A lot of people will tell you, oh, Brad, energy can't be destroyed. It can. It can be destroyed. It can be destroyed in the way that it's transitioning itself back into its original nature, which came from the dielectric, which therefore comes back into the ether. Okay? So the ether basically has a charge. It has a force of movement. It has inertia. And that's how the ether itself unfolds. As it unfolds, we have the dielectric. The dielectric, again, being that force. Think of it as a sneeze, guys. What happens when you sneeze? Poo! Right? You have that incredible force, and then, of course, you have the phlegm. Okay? The phlegm that's coming out of the sneeze, that's the magnetism. The force that brought that out, well, that again is through the ether that brings about the dielectric. Okay? Or in this particular way, we can refer to it as the lifetronic, or something like that. Maybe I'll have to invent the word. Lifetronic. I'll call it lifetronic. That's a little bit better. Bring about the lifetronic in that way. And so basically there is always that clashing. There is those interference patterns, just like what you see here through this poster. Okay? Right? We see the beautiful geometry, we see all the colors, we see all the magnetism coming together, and that is a clashing in between the dielectric and the magnetic. Okay? So that's why you have interference patterns, which means electricity and magnetism will always interfere with itself. And that's why you have the geometrical patterns that you do. But when you are able to go into such a state, just like what they teach people to go into samadhi, they teach people to go into kundalini activation, where they basically get you to energize your spine to the degree it's like a circuitry coming in. It's like a surge of electricity coming up the spine that you feel so incredibly powerful that if you continue to do that at exponential levels of current coming through your body, body's gone. That's what the rainbow body is about. That's what the golden body is about. The eternal body in that sense. Basically, in that sense, you're becoming bodiless. You are charging yourself up to the point where the current is so spectacular that the magnetism within yourself moves up into the higher pressure gradient. And whoosh, body gone. But you're here. You're everywhere now. Right? That is what is being explained by the nature of ascension. Okay? Christ oil is helping you to align to the Godhead, to understand your attributes, to understand your qualities, to understand your intelligence, to understand your nature. And then you will have such intelligence to move yourself into such a degree of excessive current that your body will just... Okay? But guess how many people on the planet can actually do that, guys? If we have 8 billion people on the planet, maybe a dozen. Okay? It's not a big list. What I'm teaching you here, guys, and even what I'm telling you through words, still doesn't do it justice. Right? You have to feel it. And the key to this is humility. The key to this is peace. The key to this is love. The key to this is compassion. It is the true naturalness of yourself that needs to come forward. It's not like, oh, Brad, can you make a machine that can do this? No. This has to be through you. It has to be a self journey. There is only so much that you can take from the external world. I am part of your external world, my friends. And if you look to me to feel like Brad's going to be responsible for my ascension, with all due respect, you're a fool. Okay? If I was to think of that, thinking that anybody outside here was responsible for my ascension, I would be a fool. Your own ascension is your responsibility. Your own ascension is based upon how well you are able to work with yourself, how you're able to work in alignment with the body, with the emotions, with the mind, with the heart, with the soul, with the spirit. Okay? That all requires itself through you, not through anybody else. Stop looking outside when it comes to the nature of ascension, right? There comes a point where it becomes effortless, and it's all through you. Not even within, not even without, but just you as you are. So I'll leave it at that. Okay? So good question, Sensei. Thank you for your question. Okay, guys, we are good with the Q&A. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do some cord removal healing, and then we're going to get into a healing request as well, too. Okay. So Kelly, I got your donation here for a healing request, but you didn't tell me what it is that you want to have healed. Okay. So Kelly, it would be good just to make sure that if you haven't already, just make sure that you have either for yourself or for another, making sure that you put that request out. I think you just put it just below here. Brother Brian just diagnosed with stage 3 esophagus cancer, which was spread to stomach on notes. Okay. So Kelly, I'll just highlight your comment here, so I'll make sure to go back to it. So just give me a moment there. So we're going to get to healing here very, very shortly. Okay, so Kelly, I will do your request. And if you guys do have other requests after we finish with cord removal healing, then feel free to place that on the chat. Okay. All right, so cord removal healing. So you guys may or may not know, but on my playlist, I have a 10-day practice, or basically a 10-day long challenge relating to the cord removal healing. Now, what it basically teaches you is what's known as the rhythmic breathing. We're not going to do that today. But as you go on to the 10-day challenge relating to the cord removal healing that you find on my YouTube playlist, you will see that there is a rhythmic breathing practice. And it's a good idea to do a lot of that rhythmic breathing practice because that is orienting your bodies. That is aligning you, right? That's taking everything that's skewed. That's taking everything that's basically scattered about and just bringing it back into the alignment by working with that particular type of rhythmic breathing. Okay, so you'll find that in the 10-day challenge of the cord removal healing. Okay, so what I want you guys to do right now is we're going to do a body scan. Okay, as we do a body scan, we're basically going to assemble all of the things that we are noticing within ourselves within a cord, which I'm going to teach you here very shortly to do. Okay, so the first thing I want all of us to do is I'm just going to stand up here and move the wires out of the way. And I'll move far back here so you guys can see me a little better. So we're going to start off with Shaogong. Okay? And then we're going to get right into cord removal healing. So, sure, at least out of the way. There we go. All right. So if you guys have tuned in to me for the past couple of weeks, you know I've demonstrated Shaogong, which basically represents the nature of collecting work. Okay? So Shao, representing the nature of S-H-O-U, and Gong, G-O-N-G. Okay? Shaogong, collecting work. Okay? It's kind of like you finish a good work day, you're packing up your tools, you're getting your harvest, and you're heading back home. Okay? That's what we're doing. This is usually what happens at the beginning and at the end of a Qigong practice. So we start off with Shaogong. And we end with Shaogong. Okay. So what I want you to do first and foremost is we're just going to do a bit of clearing of ourselves first, just so that when we do the body scan, we feel clear, we feel centered, and we're just observing what is happening within our body on a physical, on a mental, and on an emotional level. So we're just going to clear ourselves first. And all we're going to do is we're just adding a little bit to the Shaogong as we do it, just representing the nature of surrendering and releasing, surrendering and releasing. just as I've demonstrated previously pertaining to this particular practice. Okay? So, keeping the feet hip width apart. Okay? Just standing nice and neutral here just for a moment. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. And I'm just going to demonstrate this twice, and then you guys can do it with me. Okay? So, breathing in. Okay, bringing the hands right up to the area of the crown, and then slowly starting to breathe out. And as I'm breathing out, I'm just saying within my mind, surrender, release, 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 release. When I'm at the area just close to the navel, to where the lower dantian, or the lower brain is, I just keep my hand here for approximately 3 seconds. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, release. Okay, I'm going to do that a second time now. So breathing in, right up in the area of the crown, slowly breathing out, surrender, release, 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 release. Okay, now we're going to do this 3 times together. Okay, going at your own pace. We're not doing this too fast, and we're not doing this too slow. You want to make sure that you're working with your own pace, just as you see me demonstrate this here. Okay. So again, make sure your feet are hip width apart. Take a deep breath in first, and out. Okay, raising your hands up. At the crown, exhale. Surrender, release, 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 release. Stay there. 1, 2, 3, drop. Okay, we're going to do that a second time now. Inhale. One more time. And drop. Okay. So that is Xiaogong. That is again, ancient Qigong practice that is, again, allowing you to collect yourself back to yourself, right? So what is the work that we talk about? It's what we do on a daily basis. It's where we get up. It's where we run our errands. It's where we make breakfast. It's where we get ourselves dressed. It's where we shower. It's where we bathe. It's where we exercise. It's where we do everything throughout the day. And Xiaogong is collecting all of that. The work is being collected back into the center. In this case, the lower dantian. Okay? Or again, we could refer to that as the lower brain. We could call that the lower elixir field. Okay? It is the intestinal brain. That is the one that deals with all of the muck. Okay? So when you're feeling separated, when you're feeling scattered in that way, you start doing Xiaogong. All of that comes right into the lower dantian. That's why we hang there for about 3 seconds. We're collecting everything into the lower dantian. Lower dantian takes care of it. Okay, so that's a very good exercise prior to us doing the body scan and then going into cord removal healing. Okay, so now that we have done that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a body scan on ourselves. So now that we're collected, now that we're centered again, where you can either take one hand or you can take both hands, whichever you prefer. And I just want you to imagine like a green horizontal light is just scanning you. And just be aware, it feels like the scan will give you an intuitive impression of something that is looking to be released from within the body. Okay? I'm even doing this myself as well too. Okay? So there's some areas in my throat, there's some areas in my abdomen that I'm also working with. Okay? And as I just go down the feet, I just go down maybe to the area of my knees, and I'm just envisioning the rest of the beam going down the bottom of the feet, coming right down to the bottom area of the body. Okay. And so I've run that scan. Now I'm aware of the areas. So something a little bit in my throat, something a little bit in my abdomen. Okay, and I can kind of feel into it. Is this physical? Is this emotional? Is this mental? Yeah, I just feel some physical debris. Some physical debris for me. Okay, for you it depends. Okay, what are you feeling? Is your heart aching, right? Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it emotional? You just want to take a moment and just feel it, right? Trust your intuition. Trust your instinct. Okay? Whatever you feel that is. Okay, I feel a little bit of a shoulder stiffness, Feels like it's been a lot of strain. There's been some frustration there. Okay, great. Great, you've identified it. So there's something physical, there's something emotional. Some strain, some frustration. Great. I have a headache. Okay. I have these problems with my throat. I have problems with a stomach ache. Okay, great. Is it just physical? Is there something more? Or is it kind of emotional? Is it kind of mental? Trust your instincts. Trust your intuition. Yeah, it feels like there's just been a lot of strain, a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, right? There's been some sadness as well too. Okay, great. We're bringing that up. Just be honest with yourself. Let your intuition tell you what's happening, and you just receive it. Okay? So when we're going more into intuition, the more that you come into center, the more you'll be able to hear your intuition. If we're just constantly rambling on and on, right, where the gears are going a mile a minute, we're not going to be able to hear our intuition. We're still caught up in the thought space, right? So this is why we're also doing Shaogong. We're collecting all of those rampaging thoughts, and we're bringing them down into the lower Dantian to be digested and purged out. Okay? And again, it goes through the body, goes out through the feet, goes into the earth. Okay? That's what the nature of the lower Dantian is here to do. It's the cleanup. It's the cleanup brain. It's the one that's taking all that debris and it's cleaning it out and it's flushing it out through the body. Goes through the excretory system, goes through your sweat as well too, cleaning you out altogether. All right? So now that we have done that body scan and you are aware of certain properties within yourself that are now ready to be purged, because you're ready to say to yourself now, I'm ready to let go of these things. I'm ready to free them up. I'm ready to release them completely. Great. So we're going to use the faculty of the cord removal healing to do that today. So to do that, I want you just to gather everything right up into the area of the center point here in your chest. Okay, so just bring it up here to the area of the sternum. Okay, so whatever you felt through the body scan, just feel like that energy is just converging here to the center of the chest. Okay, right here, right on your sternum. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to hold an invisible cord right here at the sternum where we gathered everything. Okay, this invisible cord that you're holding is representing the cord that represents all of this distortion that's contained here in the center of your chest that you've gathered and compiled and put it right here. Okay, now as you feel the string, you may notice that the string may start to get bigger. It may be very thick because this is some very, very thick debris that's collected at the center of the chest. Okay, if you don't feel like it expands, don't worry about it. If you want to keep it as thin as a fish line, as fishing line, that's fine. Okay, but you may notice that sometimes the cord may actually get thicker. Okay, and all you're doing is you're just holding that cord. Okay, so this cord represents everything that's gathered into your sternum. Is that clear to everybody? Okay, that's what this cord represents. What I want you to do now is I want you to try and wiggle that cord. Moving it up and down, moving it left and right, and I want you to feel how tight it is. Again, it's an invisible cord, okay? But you're intuitively tuned into this cord because this cord is linked to you subconsciously, okay? So just as you see me here, I can barely move this cord. It's very, very strong, okay? It's a thick cord. It's very, very hard to move up and down. It has a lot of resistance to it, okay? Very good. So now all I want you to do is I want you to breathe in, and as you breathe out, I want you to feel like you're just gently breathing out a current that is running through this cord, and your breath is signifying surrender. As you breathe in, you're gathering in the surrender. As you're breathing out, you're running that surrender through the cord, and as you continue to do this, you're going to notice that the cord is going to get looser. Okay? So I want you just to breathe in, breathe out, and just run that breath through the current of the cord, right? See that breath as the current that is running through the cord, making it weaker. All right, so we're breathing in the surrender, breathing out the surrender through the cord, running it through. And I want you to keep doing this until you feel that cord is as soft as a spaghetti noodle, like a limp spaghetti noodle, right? It has really no strength to it whatsoever, right? It just has gone completely limp. I can move it all around now. Great. That's exactly what we want, which means we've taken all the strength out of it because we've surrendered to it. That's what the breath symbolizes here. We're completely surrendering to it. Now, in my 10-day challenge, I also give you guys a visualization. But in this way, we're just doing it just through the breath, keeping it very, very simple. Okay? Once we have done that, we're now going to take our opposite hand, the one that's not holding the cord, right? So whether your left hand's holding the cord or your right hand's holding the cord, doesn't matter, okay? We're just taking the other hand that's not holding the cord, and we're just going to visualize it like it's a knife, okay? It's like a spirit blade that your hand is now turned into, okay? And I want you just to go behind your hand that's holding the cord and just cut, okay? As we have cut the cord, we're now just handing it over to our right. If you have it on your left, just hand it over to your left. If you have it on your right, hand it over to your right. Okay? So just hand it off to the side to which your arm is. Okay? So I'm handing it off to the right, and I'm even just saying, Spirit, take care of it. I'm done with this. Don't need it anymore. Spirit, take care of it. Okay, great. That cord now is officially cut. We've completely cut away everything that represents that debris. The debris went with it when we cut the cord. But we're not done. What I want you to do is I want you to reach ahead of you, just like you're grabbing another cord and you're pulling it. And you're attaching it to your sternum. Okay? So you're reaching out, just like you're reaching an invisible cord, you're pulling it in, and you're connecting it right to the sternum here, just where your debris was previously. Popping it in there. And we're just doing the same thing. It's the surrendering breath. But this cord represents us in harmony. It's showing us harmonizing the body. This cord is representing our harmony that we are now bringing into the body. And it's basically replenishing the areas that were affected previously by all of that debris. And that's what this cord signifies. It's your healing cord. So we cleared away the debris cord. We handed it off. And now we're bringing in the healing cord. The healing cord is plugged in right here. And all we're going to do is we're just holding it like it is, okay? And we're just going to run the surrendering breath through it. As we inhale, we exhale, and we're feeling the cord strengthening. We're feeling it getting stronger. You may even feel it getting thicker as well too. Thicker is just a quality that it might have. If it's still as thin as a fishing line, that's okay. But if you're noticing it's getting thicker, that's good too, okay? So let's do that together. Surrendering breath in. And out through the cord. And I want you just to start wiggling it because it starts off as weak, but as we keep breathing into it, it gets stronger. Okay? Someone may ask, well, Brad, does it matter if I breathe out through the nose or out through the mouth when I exhale? It doesn't matter. Okay? As long as you're running that surrendering breath through the cord, because that's what you're imagining, right? Like your breath is right here and you're just running it through the cord. Okay? And I'm wiggling the cord, and I'm attempting to make it as strong as a steel cable. Okay, I can feel that now after 3 breaths. Okay, very good. So I've now made that cord as strong as a steel cable, which means I've cut away the debris. All that remains now is that strong healing cord that's as strong as a steel cable. So what do I do after that? We do Shao Gong again. Okay. So after we've done that work, because that's what this is, okay, you go back to Shao Gong. We're just going to do 1 this time. Okay. So feet hip width apart. Take a deep breath in. And inhale. Surrender. Release. 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 And we're done. Okay. So guys, that is cord removal healing, just with the added bonus of the Shao Gong. Okay, so I don't teach the Shao Gong in the 10-day challenge, but this is just an extra tidbit that you can use as well too. Like I said, even in the 10-day challenge, I give you a little bit more different courses of action when you're releasing the cord. But even if you're just doing it in this bare bones simplicity, where you're seeing the breath as your surrendering breath, and you're using that to weaken the distorted cord, right? And then you're being able to plug in the new cord and you're strengthening the healing cord. That's exactly where the surrendering breath ends. So the surrendering breath weakens the cord that is causing you the suffering, right? The distortion, okay? We cut away that chaotic cord and we plug in the healing cord, okay? So whatever you want to call the first cord, whether you want to call it distortion, whether you want to call it chaos, whether you want to call it suffering, doesn't matter, right? It's your distorted cord, right? And that's what we're cutting away. That's the cord that has been brought in through the distortions of the subconscious. That's what we're clearing out altogether. My goal, guys, is to make these things as simple as possible for you. Because when you actually start doing it, that's where you see, oh my God, this is brilliant. It's so simple, it's so easy, and I'm clearing myself, right? And it's done within 1 to 2 minutes, and you're free, okay? So please remember that as you do this work, okay? Very important. Yusuf also says, do you have any tips for visualization? Well, there is visualization practices if you go to the 10-day challenge. So Yusuf, if you go to my playlists here on my YouTube channel, just scroll down until you find cord removal healing 10-day challenge. Okay, everything is in there. So there's some visualization practices there that you can work with. Okay, and that can help you with releasing the cord. All right, guys, now we're going to go ahead and move on to individual requests, okay? That was the group healing for today, okay? So I'm not going to do a group healing after individual requests. The group healing today was the cord removal healing, all right? So let's go to Kelly Duffy, okay? So she has a request here. Kelly Duffy says, Brother Brian just diagnosed with stage 3 esophagus cancer, which will spread to stomach on notes. On notes. I'm not too sure what on notes means, but okay. So basically, he's diagnosed with stage 3 esophagus cancer. Okay, so we're gonna give some help to Brian today with Kelly's brother. Okay? If anybody also wants to help out in the background, you're more than welcome to. Okay, Kelly, if you want to send some love to Brian in the background, you can certainly do that as well too. Okay, so what this is going to involve is just me connecting to his higher self. I'll be working with him and helping him to clear this cancer away. Okay, so I'm just going to take a moment just to connect with Brian. Okay, Brian's higher self is present here with me. So I'm just going to do some work here just between me and his higher self. Okay, we will go ahead now and begin with the healing process for Brian. So love and blessings to you, Kelly, and to Brian as well too. Okay, so he's going to feel a lot of that healing effect coming upon his body right now, and so that's going to bring about some greater benefit to him as well too. So I would say just keep an eye on him over the next few days. If you want to feel free that you want to share how it's going with Brian, with me, then just go to newearthteachings.com and you can go to the contact page and you can message me there if you want to give me an update over the next several days. So maybe it's maybe like after 7 days, for example, let me know how he's doing, and you can always feel free to send me an update. Okay? Blessings to you both. Thank you very much. All right. So I will go down the list here, see if there's more healing requests. I think we're going to do about 2 more, then we're going to wrap up. Okay. Okay, this one here is from Alina. Alina says, Brad, I have an injury in my right ankle. Can that exercise be done in a seating position? I would like some relief of my pain and be able to stand and walk. Okay, so Alina, I will work on your ankle today. But yes, if you're working with cord removal healing, like I said, guys, we're not looking for instant gratification here. Okay, your body is a physical vehicle. As it's a physical vehicle, through this healing work, over the days that come, you're going to notice improvement coming together. If I was to give you some particular type of instantaneous healing method, let's say, for example, a person who broke their ankle, right? And if I was to do some type of instant healing on them, they would firstly be experiencing a great deal of excruciating pain in their ankle at first, right? That pain would be extremely excruciating because they're actually seeing their own body, their own bones and joints being reset, realigned, and brought back into harmony. So it would be a few minutes worth of extreme pain, and then their ankle would be set. I don't really want to do that to you guys, though. The way I work is that we're clearing away a lot more of the subtle distortions from the body. As the subtle distortions are being purged from the body, the physical body within the days ahead starts resetting itself, starts realigning itself, and coming back into harmony, which means this is the painless route. And that's what I want to give you guys. Okay, I'm not here to say, okay, I'm going to give you instant healing, right? If a person has a separated shoulder, right? They're getting all that and they're screaming at the top of their lungs because they'll have a few minutes of pain first. I don't want to do that to you guys. Okay. So this is all done through subtle healing. So we work with the subtle bodies, and then everything just drips down to the physical body through within the next several days. You'll start feeling the effects coming in. And it's much more gradual, it's much more softer, it's a lot less painless. Okay? So that's really what I want to do with you guys. So I don't want to give you all that excruciating pain to what instant healing would bring about. Okay, I'm just not aligned into the idea of instant healing. Right? I don't work that way. I'm sure there's other healers that can do that on the planet, just not how I work. And the AetherX technology reflects that as well too. The healing code cards, the AetherX tech work together in clearing out the subtle bodies so that everything aligns back together with you. So then the physical body is getting that drips. They're getting the drips of the healing. And within a few days, you start feeling the effects and positive changes of the body altogether. Okay? That's how I work, guys. Just letting you know. All right, so Elena, I will go ahead and work on your right ankle now. So I want you just to join me here. And what I want you to do firstly is just place both of your hands upon the center of your chest. And Anna, thank you very much. I got your donation. I'll be working on you next. Okay? So it's placing your hands upon the center of your chest here. And we're just going to take 3 deep breaths in and out together. So inhale. And out. Inhale. And out. Once more, inhale. And out. And just bringing your hands into prayer posture and just having a moment of silence here. Okay. So Alina, I want you now just to open up your heart like a blossoming flower, feeling all of that light of the heart coming out of the heart and just moving in between your palms. So all of that heart light is coming in between the palms, and now we're just extending the hands out as far and wide as they can go as we breathe in and breathe out. That light is permeating the vast cosmos, representing your love, your trust, your faith. Bringing your hands back slowly. As you're bringing them back slowly, saying to yourself, I completely believe that the healing that I shall receive will heal me. Okay? And just bringing your hands back into prayer posture. And if you want, you can just rest them on your lap here. Okay? And we'll go ahead now and begin with your healing. Here we go. Oh, geez. One second, guys. Okay, sorry guys, the fire alarm is going off in my building. It is a drill fire alarm, but I got to attend to it, so I'm sorry that we will have to cut this short today. Elena and Anna, please contact me through newearthteachings.com, okay? And I will do some healing for you after, probably later tonight or tomorrow, okay? Please contact me. Sorry about that, guys. We do have to wrap up. Talk to you again soon. What can you do with a fire alarm, right? Sorry about that. Talk to you guys next week. Blessings to you all. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to New Earth Teachings on YouTube. Don't forget to check out our websites, newearthteachings.com, where you can do private sessions with me, and also atherx.co. And through AetherX, you'll be able to pick up your Healing Code Cards body deck, your mind deck, and your energy deck through AetherX. You will also be able to pick up the Etherbed kit. That is also on AetherX as well. Not to mention that you'll also be able to pick up some apparel and accessories that is also available on AetherX. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next one. Om Shanti 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 Namaskar, and may it be well with you.